सागरजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, welcome all of you for our Bhakti Shastri class and mentor meeting. So, Rishi Vishwamitra Prabhu, Hare Krishna, are you traveling?
हरे कृष्ण. आज नाही, अजून 10 मिनिटांनी निघेल ऑफिस मधून.
Acha. So, what about other friends? Are they joining?
ते सेवेला आहेत 2 जण टेम्पल हॉलला.
आज मंडे ला कोण?
एकादशी हो. वामन ब्रोनची सेवा आहे 7:30 ते 8 आणि राधो गोकुलन ब्रोनची 7 ते 8.
ठीक है.
8 वाजता येतात ते.
Okay.
हा.
So,
Uji,
yes, bro.
why don't we start with Kirtan or Vaishnav song?
Because we have no much time.
आम्ही एका दिवस तरी थोडस.
Yeah, we'll have exclusive Kirtan sometime. I'll tell Krishna Prabhu to coordinate Kirtan sometime, exclusive. Hare Krishna. So, let's begin. So, we have studied till verse number 41. So this is sixth chapter, verse number 41. Please recite with behind me. Prapya punya krutam lokan. Prapya punya krutam lokan. Uttishva shashwati samaha. Ushitva shashwati samaha. Samaha. Suchinam shrimatam gehe. Yogo bhrashta abhijayate. Prapya punya krutam lokan. The unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on the planet of the pious living entity, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of a rich aristocracy. So we saw this verse last time, and this is actually a merciful nature of Krishna. If when you see these verses, so Krishna is basically talking about Ashtanga Yoga. In this particular chapter, we all saw how Ashtanga Yoga, there are 8 angas. We are completing this chapter and this section. So just to revise about the study, what we have studied. So Krishna spoke about Ashtanga Yoga in this particular chapter. And Ashtanga Yoga is mainly about yama, niyama, pratyahar, pranayama, asana, dhyana, dharana, and samadhi. So samadhi is very much stressed here, that being focused on the supreme absolute truth, that is a samadhi. In this Ashtanga Yoga, we saw the yoga rurukshu sthiti and yoga rudha sthiti. Yoga rurukshu is the beginning of the Ashtanga Yoga, where yama, niyama, prana and pratyahara is seen. And yoga rudha situation. Yoga rudha is a very elevated situation where there is a dhyana, dharana, and samadhi is attained. So Ashtanga Yoga's perfection is to attain samadhi. When Krishna is talking about this, then Krishna is also stressing on how the mind is a friend and enemy. A mind can be friend also, and the mind can be enemy also. It's in our hand whether to make this mind enemy, or it's the whether to make that mind friend. And it's very important for a yoga rudha devotee to make a mind friend. Basically, yoga rudha yogi to make a mind a friend. Then we saw the symptoms of a person in a yoga rudha situation. One who is advanced in Ashtanga yoga. It's easy to understand. His mind is controlled. Then he is completely approached the super soul, then satisfied in the Shastric knowledge and realization. He's a self-realized and equal vision of a pebble, stone, and uh, gold. Samalostras, Samalostras Rasa Kanchana is the verse where it is said that this particular uh, yogi who is yoga rudha situation, who is into a position of dhyana, dharana, and samadhi, that person is very much stable. That person is, he has an equal vision towards a stone, towards a gold, or towards any pebbles. So that is the advanced stage. So this person is very advanced. He's equipoised. He's to all the people, well-wisher, beneficial, neutral, meditator, envious, friends, enemies, everyone. He's a equipoised. So this is a perfection of Ashtanga Yoga. That is a yoga rudha situation. So when we are studying this Dhyana Yoga, chapter number 6, the achievement of a Dhyana Yogi or Ashtanga Yogi is that he has these qualities. So then further, there is a discussion about the stages of Ashtanga Yoga practice. And especially we saw the verse there. Yukta hara viharasya yukta karma sucheshtasu yukta swapna bodhasya yogo bhavati dukkhaha. So there Krishna is talking about a regulated lifestyle. It is a very, very important for a yogi to have a regulated lifestyle. In fact, not only yogi, but for every human being to have a regulated lifestyle is very important. So what is regulated lifestyle? Yukta ahara. One should have a regulated eating. Yukta vihara. One should have regulated recreation. He cannot have just, think of going every day, or every weekend out and just spend money, spend time, energy. Yukta hara viharasya yukta karma. You should have a very regulated work also. Not too less, not too much. We get into a zone of too less. Yukta vihara, yukta karma sucheshtasu, yukta swapnava, and then sleep has to be regulated. If he has regulated sleeping, regulated work, regulated recreation, and regulated ahara, eating, then that person is yogo bhavati dukkha, that he's free from misery, and that person is actually peaceful. So Krishna is talking about this perfection of the Ashtanga Yoga, that this person is regulated, and then realization in the perfection of Ashtanga Yoga. The consciousness is completely restrained from the material mental activities. One can see the self by pure mind. So there is a lot of labha of practicing Ashtanga Yoga. And for this Ashtanga Yogi, when he attains this position of samadhi, he is actually free from all the dualities. He's free from the miseries of this world. Then after speaking about it, Krishna further talks about methods to attain a yoga rudha position. So the determination without a deviation is very important. the methods of attaining the yoga Rudha situation. Then one should give up the material desires, controlling the senses is very, very important. And then finally, he comes to a trance and the intelligence is sustained by the full conviction. So his intelligence has to be strong, his mind has to be strong, he has to be sense controlled, then he has to practice this particular process of Ashtanga Yoga without deviating from anything. He has to be completely fixed, focused on it. He has to have a strong determination. That's very, very important. So success formula is also spoken about this yoga. I'm purposefully again and again using this word Ashtanga Yoga, where Prabhupada is also many times translating as a Bhakti Yoga, because Prabhupada is focused on Krishna consciousness. But then success, yato yato nishyati manaschanchala stiram tatastato niyamadhyaya atmani eva vasham nyayat. That, whoever's mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw the mind and bring it back under the control of the self. So, success formula for yoga, dhyana yoga or ashtanga yoga, even for the bhakti yoga, is that he has to bring the mind back. So, while chanting Hare Krishna, many times, mind will wander. He'll go to so many different wonderlands. So, we have to bring that mind back and we have to make it, say, come here, sit here, sit with me and chant Hare Krishna. So, that's very, very important. Like, our lifestyle, because our mind is so flickering, it is reflected in our consciousness, it is reflected in our behavior, it is reflected in our words. A steady mind person is in goodness, he's peaceful. So, too much chanchala, like monkey, is not very good. तो जो मन की सुने वो है monkey. So yato yato निश्चरति मनश्चंचलम अस्थिरम. The mind is very flickering and it has to be regulated. Guys, other devotees, you have sent message, class is started. Both the groups. Then further there is a discussion of Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, that how he is, free from the scene, he's devoid of passion, he's very shanta, then, he identifies with Brahman. So Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na sochati na kankshati. There also we understand that how a Brahma Bhut, that is one who has understood the Supreme Person of Godhead, or one who knows the absolute truth, Parama Satya, that this person is very steady, very stable, very peaceful. That's very important. After all, explaining all of this, Krishna is talking about how this Ashtanga Yogi sees, he is free from dualities, or sorry, he frees everybody with the equal vision. And how he can see everybody with the equal vision? Because of the presence of Paramatma in the heart of everyone. So we all know that Paramatma is in the heart of everyone. And because Paramatma is present in everybody's heart, and the Ashtanga Yogi can see that in everybody, though it is an animal or it is a human being or anyone. He sees that Paramatma is there in heart of everyone, and then that's why he respects everyone, or he can see everybody on the equal vision. So that is a vision of a perfect Ashtanga Yogi. And after explaining all of this, Arjuna gets this doubt that how it is possible to see everybody on an equal vision, or it's just difficult. So I think Ashtanga Yoga practice is difficult. So Krishna is saying, yes, it is difficult, but then it is possible also. And then Arjuna is asking a very famous verse, Sanchalahi Mana Krishna Pramadi Balavadrudam. Tasyaham Nigraham Manne Vayoriva Sudushkaram. Arjuna is telling to Krishna that Krishna, I can control Vayu. I'm that powerful, but it is so difficult to control mind. Chanchalahi Mana Krishna Pramathi. This mind is very, very powerful. It is turbulent, it is obstinate, and it is very strong. That is very, very strong mind. So it's very difficult to control and subdue this mind. So Krishna is immediately telling, don't worry, he is giving a solution. Mind can be controlled. With what? Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha uchyate. With the practice of abhyas. Which abhyas? First standard to 10th standard, 11th, 12th. No, the abhyas of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So if somebody is studying the Bhagavad Gita sincerely, nicely, he can very well control the mind. Abhyasena, by studying the scriptures, by gaining the knowledge basically. Tu kaunteya vairagyena cha uchyate. And because of the detachment, one can know this knowledge very well. One can control the mind very well. So immediately Krishna is saying, don't worry. Yeah, I understand. Mind is chanchala. It's very distracted. It's turbulent. It's pramadi, balabadrudam. He's very strong. He has very great strength. Mind can pull big, big elephants from one place to another. That powerful is mind. But that same mind can become your friend. That same mind can be controlled. How? Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha uchyate. By the practice of abhyasa and by the process of detachment. So detachment from what? Krishna Prabhu? Detachment from sense enjoyment. Okay. Narayana, what do you think? Detachment from what?
From material objects. For sense
Material,
that.
material opulences. Okay. Detachment from this body also. Detachment from the desires also. Material desires. It's very important. So abhyasa and vairagya. These two things are stressed very much. So Krishna's conclusion is mind control is done by the practice of yoga. And then further, Krishna is talking about, then Arjuna is saying, okay, I understand. You are saying that mind can be controlled. I will also do abhyasa and your vairagya. Both the things I'll follow. But what happens to a person who is practicing this yoga, but then suddenly he either dies, he cannot complete his yoga process, he cannot attain perfection. Because attainment of a perfection of yoga is samadhi. And after attaining this process of samadhi, person will attain he'll go to a Paramatma, or he'll attain the absolute truth. He'll attain the mukti. But then while doing this particular process, something happens in between. He cannot complete. If he cannot complete, what is the destination of this yogi? And then comes our last time's discussion that the destination of yogi, what is their destination? And then Arjuna gets into detail. Arjuna inquires that what is the fate of a fallen yogi? Oh Krishna, if one takes up to the yoga with a faith and fails to continue on the path due to his unsteady mind, thus does not attain perfection. So this is happening, either he leaves the body, or this is happening because he's not able to practice because of the disturbed mind. What happened to him? Because Arjuna is thinking of practicing this particular process, but then if he's trying to practice, he knows mind is unsteady. He cannot, yama niyama. There only people have struggled. Yama niyama is what? Do's and don'ts. Do's and don'ts. There pratyahara, there's restriction, and then there is asana, and then there is pranayama. And then further comes ध्यान लगाना है किसी के ऊपर, ब्रह्मन या परमात्मा के ऊपर ध्यान लगाना है. फिर then there is dharana, you have to hold in the heart, and then there is samadhi. So it's very difficult. So when it is difficult to practice because of the unsteady mind, then what happened to that person? Arjuna is asking. And then Krishna is answering, yes, you are right, but there is no misfortune. So these are the very hope-giving verses. These are the verses which are very encouraging. These verses, they talk about how Krishna is a very, very merciful Lord. He's not a person who is holding a judgment rod. On the day of judgment, you shall be put into hell or heaven. He's not like that. So if somebody is saying that, why is your Krishna so why you, there are so many other religions, they say that, your God is very rude, your God is like this, that, you have to surrender to him. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. You have to completely surrender. If you don't completely surrender, you don't get the perfection. But our place is not like that. No, sir. He is very, very merciful. Hmm. Another merciful nature of Krishna is that Krishna comes into this world again and again. Krishna says, Sambhavami yuge yuge. I come to this material world again and again. For what? For the deliverance of that jiva. He's performing so many beautiful pastime so that one can get attracted towards those pastime. His qualities are so nice that everybody can get attracted to him. His rupa, he's so beautiful that his beauty is unimaginable. Yesterday there was such a nice Chandan put to Radhaundan Chandra. They were looking so beautiful. Their color was suddenly changed into a Keshari Radhaundan Chandra. So they were so attractive. Jagannath was also looking so attractive. Gaurnita. So he's performing so many leelas. He's having such a beautiful form. He's having such a nice guna. And his holy name is also very attractive. It is, for us, it is bitter because we are not taken it seriously. But it may be a bitter in the beginning. It will be nectar at the end. And it's just because so many devotees have experienced. And we also, if sincerely chant, we will like it. Like there are so many devotees, so many of you are chanting 16 rounds now here. So when you are chanting 16 rounds, you don't feel like, why? It is not so bitter always. Or chanting 16 rounds is an easy task, not very difficult. But when you remember when you started with one, coming from one to two was like, oh my God, I have to jump, I have to come to from one to two, I have to come, or two to four. But then it is very easy because Krishna gives that test. So when it comes to Krishna, he is very merciful to all the living entities. So that similar Krishna, who is so merciful, he is guaranteeing, even if you are practicing Ashtanga Yoga, don't worry, there is no loss, no misfortune. O Arjuna, one who has engaged in auspicious activities, Kalyana Kruta, does not meet with destruction or misfortune, Durgatim, either in attaining spiritual goal or in material goal. And then comes this verse which I recited, that an unsuccessful yogi who fall after a short practice attains the planet of the pious and enjoy there for many years. तो स्वर्गलोक में जाओगे, सत्यलोक में जाओगे, जनलोक तपोलोक में जाओगे, you will go to so many places and you will enjoy for so many years. And then what happens? Not only enjoy, like if somebody is performing a pious activity, punya koi gain karta hai, what happens to him? Well, till the time he has punya, he goes to Swargaloka, enjoys. And Swargaloka is all enjoyment. No, pain of birth, no pain of death, no old age, no disease. You experience, what a pleasure. But as soon as Punya is over, Shine Punya Marte Loke Pachant, as soon as the Punya is over, they immediately fall down to this Marte Lok. And then they again have to go through Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. They have to go through this. They have to take birth, they have to die. This chakra will go on, and they have to go through suffering, Jara, Vyadhi, old age, disease. So this is the case with the punya. But then what is Krishna telling? That Ashtanga yogi or that Bhakti yogi or that practitioner of yoga, what happens to him is that he attains the planet of a pious and enjoys there for many years. And then he takes birth in a house of a righteous and wealthy people. So he comes back, but when he comes back, he's not into a some beggar's house, or he it is not that he has to take birth as a dog, cow, calf, whatever, or anything. He takes a birth as a human being into a nice, beautiful, aristocratic, and a very pious family. So that is the glory of this particular practice of yoga. So there is no loss on this path. There is no loss. There is no loss. This investment has no loss. जन्म के साथ भी और जन्म के बाद भी जीवन के साथ भी और जीवन के बाद भी. So LIC which LIC cannot provide, that is what Krishna is promising here. What is that LIC का tagline? Yogakshemam, something like that, I think. So जीवन के साथ और जीवन के बाद जो गारंटी देता है, that is Krishna. And Krishna is here telling to Arjuna, when Krishna is telling to Arjuna, it's not that because Arjuna, you are my friend and that's why there'll be no misfortune. He's announcing for the whole world, for the whole creation, that there is no misfortune. So, so Arjuna, one who is engaged in the auspicious activities, Kalyanakrut, does not attain, he's not met with the destruction or misfortune. Krishna, welcome. How are you? When did you
Kaustubh
come?
bro, I had a question.
Okay. Yes, most
So
welcome.
basically, what I asked you that day was about
You-
Ashtanga Yoga and not Bhakti Yoga, na bro? What we
Sorry,
are discussing here is about Ashtanga Yoga, not a Bhakti
I'm
Yogi, na?
talking about a yogi here. Imagine if that is the case with Ashtanga Yogi, Bhakti was very dear to Krishna. What will happen to him? So you have to be very sincere.
The question which I asked you that day, the next purports which I read that day, and then you told that it is a very rare chance, wo ho nahi sakta. So basically,
I don't
we
remember
are
your question. Can you please repeat?
next 42 text में जो लिखा है, और if unsuccessful after long practices of yogi, he takes birth in the family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly such a birth is rare in this world.
Okay.
And then next 43 mein he is saying again.
No, I can read that. I know those translations. You have to ask the question now.
Yeah, so my question was that day I asked na ki he's giving assurance that you will be born in a family of people, pious
Yes.
people.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is for Ashtanga Yogi.
This is
We are
for
speaking
any
about
yogi.
Ashtanga Yogi specifically
This
here.
is yeah. This first of all, you have to know what is Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. We have discussed this several times. There is no much difference between Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga is attainment. One who is practicing Ashtanga Yoga, his attainment is after Samadhi, he attains a either a Paramatma realization or a Brahman realization. So attaining Brahman realization and Paramatma realization is not cheap. So if he is while practicing this particular thing, if he fails to practice at that level, what happens to him is no less. So why when I started this discussion, I said this is a discussion on Ashtanga Yoga because this whole chapter belongs to that. But Prabhupada will always translate that as a Bhakti Yoga because Prabhupada's focus is Bhakti, Krishna consciousness. So it is Bhakti Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. Don't worry, there is no loss. Congratulations to you. Krishna is giving that, good news.
Yes, bro.
Okay. So Krishna is telling one who is practicing Krishna consciousness, there is no loss to him. There is no misfortune. Even, if he is practicing now, then he will surely get the perfection. If he is not able to practice for whatever reason, he will also attain a birth in a nice, pious family. So that's a fortune. So whoever has taken birth in a nice, pious family who is very supportive to Krishna consciousness are the fortunate souls who have practiced yoga in last life. Okay, so I can see all of them here. Okay, so then next verse. Okay, everybody's clear with this? So there is no misfortune for the practitioner of yogi. One who is a yoga practitioner, there is no misfortune to him. So an unsuccessful yogi who falls after a short practice attains the planet of a pious and enjoy there for the many years. So this is a very encouraging word, hope-giving verse. That does not mean that okay, fine, if I don't practice for a long time, I practice for some time. Anyways, I'm going to land up in a heavenly planets, and I'll enjoy for years together in that heavenly planets, and I'll come back. And here, after coming here, also I'm going to get a birth in an aristocratic family, and I'm going to have a lot of good people around me. So let's drop it. So don't drop practice of Krishna consciousness. Please continue. Let's go to verse number 42. I hope we read the purport. Krishna Prabhu? Yeah. 42, verse number 42. अथवा योगिनामेव कुले अथवा योगिनामेव कुले भवति धीमताम् एतद्भि दुर्भतरं लोके एतद्भि दुर्भतरं लोके जन्म यद्दिदुषम्. Or if unsuccessful after a long practice of yoga, he takes birth. So here, unsuccessful yogi means he has practiced yoga for a long time, but he could not attain the perfection. He could not, attain the absolute truth, Paramasatya. There are chances, and that happens with many. So if he takes birth in a he takes a birth in a family of a transcendentalist who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly, such a birth is rare in this world. So this birth is very, very rare. Who takes a birth in a devotee family, who takes birth in a family where they are very pious, they are always interested in Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, or they're always interested in absolute truth, that is Paramasatya. Those families are very rare, and getting birth on those family is also very, very rare. Like it is said that, there are two places I have heard this description that the Charanamrut of a Lord is a very great fortune. It's a very rare thing to receive the Charanamrita of Lord. Even the demigods are standing in a queue. और यहाँ पे हमें we get glass after glass. On the festivals we like drink. Like, Balgowin used to say that after eating kilos and kilos of tulsi and gallons of Charnamrut, we are still like that. Our heart is still hard. But then even demigods are standing in a queue to drink Charnamrut. But when it comes to apart from that, in this particular discussion also it is said that demigods are also standing in a queue to take birth in a devotee family. So Krishna, when he's talking about yogo bhashta parantapaha, yogo Bhrashta abhijayate. So those who are yoga bhrashta, we discussed last time. Patha bhrashta pata hai? If somebody is walking on a path and then suddenly he gets deviated. And then that deviation, we discussed about it last time in our Bhakti Sar. Like you're going from Pune to Mumbai and then suddenly you see a plaza, food plaza, and then you take a detour. And then when you take a detour, you're like there only. Your destination is forgotten for some hours. So similarly, in our path of yoga, we may get attracted towards some beauty, we may get attracted towards some money, we may get attracted to so many things. And then attraction becomes like a deviation. So when that deviation happens, yoga bhrashta vijayate, and then he's forgotten Krishna. But then whatever destination he has covered, there is no loss. That's the Krishna. So what happens to that person? He goes to heavenly planets, enjoys for some time. Then again he comes back to this earthly planet and takes birth in a family of a transcendentalist. And with whom this happens? With very, very rare people. This does not happen with everyone and anyone. So that's why practice of Krishna consciousness throughout our life is going to help. So when it is said जीवन के साथ भी और जीवन के बाद भी, this is very important. It is going to support you in this life also, next life also, and multiple lives also. So जीवन के साथ और जीवन के बाद. So nothing else can guarantee you. That is only Krishna who is guaranteeing this particular thing. Okay, let's read the puppet. Anybody online?
I'll go.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu. Birth in a family of yogis or transcendentalists, those with great wisdom, is praised herein because the child born in such a family receives a spiritual impetus from the very beginning of his life. It is especially the case in the Acharya or Goswami families. Such families are very learned and devoted by tradition and training, and thus they become spiritual masters. In India, there are many such Acharya families, but they have not degenerated due to insufficient education and training. But they have now degenerated due to insufficient education and training. By the grace of the Lord, there are still families that foster transcendentalists generation after generation. It is certainly very fortunate to take birth in such families. Fortunately, both are spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, and our humble self had the opportunity to take birth in such families by the grace of the Lord, and both of us were trained in the devotional service of the Lord from the very beginning of our lives. Later on, we met by the order of the transcendental system.
At one place, Prabhupada was talking about happy families. So, happy family, Rajasampa has given a separate lecture on that, happy families. So, Prabhupada is talking about happy families, and that in that he's quoting his own family, and he's quoting a family of his spiritual master, that is Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's father is who? Krishna, do you know who is the father of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur? You see him every day in the altar. Prabhupada's guru is Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, and his father.
Bhaktivedanta Thakur.
It is Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur. Yeah. So Bhaktivedanta Thakur, when he used to come home, he used to see he had 11 children. And he used to see all his 11 children. Thank you. So he used to see all his 11 children either doing kirtan, either, doing some bhajan and, playing some instrument. So he has written that in a song that Gruhete Goloko Bhai. When I come to my home, it appears like a Golok Vrindavan. So that's the happiness he had because it was Bhaktivinoda Thakur and everybody was very devoted in his family. Like if you go to Mayapur, he has a house where he used to do bhajan. Or in Kolkata now, we got that property, Bhakti Kutir. So that is a place of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house where Bhaktivinoda Thakur stayed there for more than 15 to 17 years. They had a Shaligram which is still worshipped there. That was 300-400 years old worshipped Shaligram Shila, and his deities are also there. So there, in Kolkata, in that place where his all children were very much practicing Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada quotes there that these are the happy families. Why happy families? Because in those families, Krishna consciousness is practiced. And getting birth in the family of Krishna consciousness is very, very rare. Yes, sir. Yeah, Mayapur, there is his house. He was a big man. He had a house in Jagannath Puri. He had a house in Mayapur. He had a house in Kolkata. He had a house in Vrindavan. He still had, and all these properties are still there. Yeah, there was one more place where I went. There was also, he had a big house in South India, in Srirangam. Yeah, there also he has a house. So he was a magistrate. He was a powerful man. Anyways, so Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur grew up in such an environment where everybody was practicing Krishna consciousness, and his own father is Acharya. So that's why Prabhupada is saying that there are some rare families in India who are like Acharya. Like if you know about Gaudiya Sampradaya, which ISKCON belongs to, there is a some parampara called Advaita Parampara, and there is a Nityananda Parampara. So there also there's like family lineage where the everybody becomes like a spiritual master. They are very learned, they are very expert in the scriptures, their practice is very intense. So if you actually see outside, there are so many people, but even parents don't know. Nowadays, situation is so worse that parents are only inviting their children for drink and smoke and whatever, in whatever funds, XYZ funds the outsiders call. If the parents are inspiring students or their children to do this, that's a pathetic situation. But then there are very rare places where parents are inviting people to temple. The parents are, inspiring them to practice Krishna consciousness. So that's a fortune, and that fortune has no limits. So, but then those families and that kind of birth is very rare. That's what Krishna is mentioning here. That yes, the unsuccessful yogi who fall after long practices takes his birth in the family of a great wise yogis. Certainly, such a yogi is rare in this world. So that kind of person is very rare. Prabhupada talks about himself also. Prabhupada says that, I was also that fortunate, happy family, member of that fortunate, happy family, where my father was every day morning we used to get up when we used to hear the ringing bell, bell ringing, which was used for worship. So our morning was like, it was not like good morning, but it was with the ringing of the bell and then the smell of the incense and nice arati which he used to hear. And then his father was very encouraging for practicing Krishna consciousness. He would invite so many sadhus to his house very regularly. So when Prabhupada saw a friend, he told Prabhupada that let's go to meet one Swami who has come to Ultadanga Junction in Kolkata. He said, no, no, I have seen so many sadhus in my life since childhood. My father used to invite so many sadhus. So I'm not interested. No, he said, no, just once you meet him. And then Prabhupada goes to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur to see him. And then in that interaction, first interaction only, Srila Prabhupada accepts him as a spiritual master. All of you know that Srila Prabhupada was there in front of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. They offered their obeisances. Before they get up, there was a sound of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur saying that you are English speaking man, you should go to foreign world and give this message of Lord Chaitanya and preach Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada said, oh, how Swamiji, you are saying that is right, but India needs freedom. We are under somebody's controlling us. We are not free. Then he said, freedom, fights, loss, and win, all this will continue to go on. What we need, that is Krishna consciousness. What we need to give to the world is Krishna consciousness. And that's what we are seeing. There are so many wars and fights. It's like continuously going on. After freedom also, do you think that all Indians are free? No, they are controlled by some people. Even if anybody in the world, there are few people sitting in some corner, they are controlling that whole country or the whole world, and they are enjoying, and then everybody is under somebody's control. So no, we are not free. But what can make us free is Krishna consciousness. And then that is what Krishna is promising here, that person is very rare, that birth is very, very rare. And that fortune is with us, about the happy families. So just see, all of your families are also those happy families who are supporting you for practice of Krishna consciousness. Right, Krishna? You're born in a happy family. Prabhupada writes there, fortunate happy families. So the happiness does not come from other things. Happiness comes from the family which prays together, stays together, it is said. So that family, which is sitting together, praying, and that is even practicing many other religions also. Like, the Christians, when they sit for the dinner together or whatever, food together, all of them, they are praying. Oh God, thank you for giving us our daily bread and whatever XYZ prayer they offer. So, that's very important that, family who is supportive of Krishna consciousness or who themselves are practicing are those fortunate, happy families, and we are very happy to be connected to them. Okay, let's go to the next verse. Tatratam buddhi sanyogam labhate pauvradehikam yatate cha tato bhuya samsiddho kurunandana. On taking such a birth, he receives the divine consciousness of his previous life, and he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve a complete success, O son of Krishna. No, so, O son of Kuru. Sorry. Who is son of Kuru?
Arjun.
The one who is born in Kuru dynasty, or Arjun basically.
I think there is a discussion with Arjun going on. Okay. So, again, another hope giving statement by Krishna. On taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life. Any example from Bhagavatam who received the divine consciousness of a previous life? He was remembering, yes, Bharat Maharaj, who became
Jad
Jada Bharat.
Bharat.
So Jada Bharat is the one who received it. What was his life before Jada Bharat?
Dear.
Dear, my dear. On taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life, and he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success, O son of Kuru. So, hey Arjuna, Kuru Nandana, don't worry, because you are born into that fortunate, happy family. Arjuna was also fortunate to be born into a family of a Pandu, and Pandu was such a pious king, and his mother Kunti is such a devoted to Krishna. So, taking birth, with Kunti and Pandu was a fortune of all the Pandavas, and that's why Pandavas were very pious, and that those pious Pandavas, or not only pious, were devoted to Krishna. They always walked on the path of dharma. So here, Prabhupada also gives the example of King Bharata. Prabhupada is telling that Bharat Maharaj was the King Bharat was a very pious king. He decided to, detach himself from the family. He went to Himalayas, started practicing his tapasya, yajna, all the pujas and everything. While doing that, he saw an incident. So an incident where he saw a mother deer crossing the river, and then mother deer was fearful because of the tiger behind her, and the child fell from her womb. She was pregnant, and child fell from his womb. And then that mother deer, she ran away from that. And then Bharat Maharaj thought, who will take care of this deer baby? And then he brought that deer and started taking care. He became attached to the deer, and when he became attached to that deer, then the the Bharat Maharaj became so attached to the deer, he forgot to practice Krishna consciousness. He forgot to practice his tapasya. And after forgetting the practice of tapasya, he takes birth. He dies with the remembrance of that deer. And then he takes birth as a deer in next life. And then when he takes birth as a deer, that time only he was reminded of his previous birth, that you did this particular mistake. So when Krishna is mentioning here in Bhagavad Gita, on taking such a birth, he revised the divine consciousness of his previous life. So he was reminded that you are such a divine person, you are practicing tapasya, but because of some attachment, your mind was deviated. Because we initially spoke about the mind's deviation, that becomes the cause of somebody being an unsuccessful yogi. So he was reminded of that. And then after remembering that in the deer form only, he used to go and stay close to the huts of those yogis and sadhus. And these sadhus, they would discuss about Bhagavatam, Krishna, all those. He would hear very attentively. And, he used to go and attend those yajnas. So while doing, that's a distraction for all. Don't touch. So while doing all these things, he left his body after some year as a deer, and then he took birth as Jada Bharata. Jada Bharat was Jada. Jada is a very heavy buddhi, heavy dimag wala rehta hai na. कुछ घुसता ही नहीं उसके दिमाग, nothing goes inside. So he acted as a Jada Bharata. He acted as that Jada. Jada means very dull-headed. He acted as a dull-headed, but then he was not. But then, how everybody is thinking that he's a fool. He's dull-headed. But then when he started discussing with King, what is the name of that king? Narayana, what is the name of the king? Are very famous. How can I forget that?
Rahuguna, Rahuguna.
Rahuguna. He started discussing with Rahuguna, and then everybody understood him, especially the king Rahuguna understood. Oh, I am speaking to a very, very elated personality. And then King Rahuguna accepted him as a spiritual master, and that he continued to practice his Krishna consciousness as a Jada Bharata, and then he attained perfection. So, Tejas, I'll come back to just 1 minute. So, that's very, very important. Krishna is promising here that person will attain the divine consciousness. Whatever he has forgotten, he will be reminded of that. And he again tries to make a further progress in order to achieve complete success, O son of Kuru. So he'll continue to practice his Krishna consciousness. So practicing Krishna consciousness, there is no misfortune, there is no loss. Yes, Tejas, tell me.
Prabhuji, for the question you asked, who gained his previous life's consciousness,
Okay,
can
okay.
Narad Muni be considered?
Yes, Narad Muni also can be considered because Narad Muni was also reminded of his previous life. Yes, very good.
Okay.
Okay. So, Tatra tam buddhi sanyogam labhate pauradehikam. So, he 43. So he's reminded of his previous birth, previous consciousness. How many of you will be happy if you remember your previous birth? You will be happy, sir. You will be most miserable because you will understand I'm committing the same mistake this birth also. I'm still attached to some woman. I'm still attached to some money. I'm still attached to my own body, my own beauty, and then we'll cry. Oh, what am I doing? That's why Krishna does not remind you of your previous birth at all. So many times we have this, अरे कर्म का फल है ना, तो भी कौन से मैंने कर्म किए थे जिसकी वजह से मुझे सफरिंग आ रहा है. So many times we are like very inquisitive. But once you come to know, so many times we regret our mistake. Why do we regret our mistake? Because those mistakes were not worth committing. Why did I do that? That's the regret we have. Imagine if you remember all those mistakes, like why I got this body, and then you suddenly remember that because you committed that mistake, that sin, you troubled someone, and then you will regret. Why did I do that? Otherwise, I would have got such a beautiful, handsome, and then I would have got birth into a rich family or whatever, XYZ. Or you whatever. Now I'll not get into the details of it, but you will be utterly miserable, and that's why you are not reminded of your previous birth. But here Krishna is telling, if somebody is practicing Krishna consciousness, he will be reminded, he will be brought, basically Krishna is telling here, he will be brought into a situation where he will be favorable in practicing Krishna consciousness. The situation will be favorable to practice Krishna consciousness. So on taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousnness of his previous life, and he again tries to make a further progress in order to achieve complete success, O son of Kuru. Can somebody read purport? Circulate the mic.
King Bharata, who took his third birth in the family of a good Brahmana, is an example of good birth for the revival of previous transcendental consciousness. King Bharata was the emperor of the world, and since his time, this planet has been known among the demigods as Bharatavarsha. Formerly, it was known as Ilavat Varsha. The emperor, at an early age, retired for spiritual perfection but failed to achieve success. In his next life, he took birth in the family of a good Brahmana and was known as Jada Bharata because he always remained secluded and did not talk to anyone. And later on, he was discovered as the greatest transcendentalist by King Raghugana. From his life, it is understood that transcendental endeavors or the practice of yoga never go in vain. By the grace of the Lord, the transcendentalist gets repeated opportunities for complete perfection in Krishna consciousness.
Let's go to verse number 44. Purvabhyasana teneva riyate riyate hi avashopiha riyate hi avashopi saha जिज्ञासुरपि योगस्य Shabda Brahmati Vartate. Shabda Brahma is a very important word. We'll discuss about it. By virtue of a divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attached to the yogic principles, even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. Okay, those devotees who are not part of Bhakti Shastri but part of mentor meeting, don't get confused. What is this? We were discussing about Bhagavatam and then suddenly, what is this happening? So this is a Bhakti Shastri class and mentor meeting together. And we were supposed to complete few verses of our Bhakti Shastri. And that's why we all are together here. And I'm very happy that few of the mentor meeting devotees, they don't get opportunity to attend. So they are also here. So thank you. By the virtue of divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principle. So automatically become like suddenly I get really surprised. You know, there are young children. There is one boy who comes every festival, every Saturday Sunday also he comes, and every festival he'll come and render service for 4 to 5 hours. And in his family, there is nobody who is a devotee. And then now till now Krishna is talking about those families, fortunate, happy families where you will get a birth, where the families are very supportive. And then his family is not supportive, but he still comes. He's in 7th or 8th standard. He comes here, he renders services. He's very inquisitive. It appears like he's reminded of his previous consciousness. And that's why and how he got connected, he just heard some YouTube lectures and got connected. And he discusses with us, DT worship in Gaudiya Sampradaya is like this, DT worship in Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya is like this, DT worship in Kumara Sampradaya is like this. And he has details of it. He's just a seventh standard boy. And he has the details of all the DT worship standards were done at different. He was talking about Radharaman worship, DT worship, and how it is matching with our ISKCON style of DT worship. And what all things they do, which we don't do. This is studied very well. It is not just, something randomly coming. So this is what happens with this person who has practiced Krishna consciousness. So even if he is not having a favorable situation, he's reminded of that. I remember there was this young boy, small kid who used to come and suddenly he took a vampire. He used to play that vampire very loudly. We used to get irritated, but that boy who used to play that vampire is our Vaman Rupu, who is such a sincere devotee now here. He was very small when he got connected and suddenly the situation was not very favorable at his house, but he must be reminded of his previous practice by Krishna or inspired. And that's why he's here. And many of us like that. So even without seeking them, so he's like not endeavoring for it, but then Krishna will help him, drag him to that particular location. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stand always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. So the person who is able to do that, or who is reminded of his previous divine consciousness, is way too ahead of all those brahmanas who are performing karma kanda. There are so many brahmanas doing so many, like India is famous for that. You go to Varanasi, I went to Prayagraj when there was this thing, Surya Grahan. And you remember in Chandra Grahan, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took birth, there is a description which comes that everybody entered into a Ganges and they were chanting Hare Krishna because that's an inauspicious time. I could actually see that. There were almost 10,000, 20,000 people who were in the Ganges with their beads in the hand and chanting mantra. So these kind of pious people will be there who will perform lot of karma kand, lot of ritualistic principles. In this particular puja, perform this yajna, this particular tithi, do this, do so many things. They will perform these many activities, but then whatever practices they are doing, even born in a Brahmin family, this transcendentalist who could not complete his practice in last birth, he will attain that divine consciousness, he will start practicing, and he is way too ahead of these people. Who is saying this? Krishna is telling this. So that's a great fortune. Okay, please read the purport. Who will read? Krishna, would you like to read?
Advanced yogis are not very much attached to the rituals of the scriptures, attracted.
Can
but
you hold it near? Can we increase the
but
voice?
they automatically become attracted to the yoga principles, which can elevate them to complete Krishna consciousness, the highest yoga perfection. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 3.3.7, Such disregard of Vedic rituals by the advanced transcendentalists is explained as follows.
Aho batasva pacho to goriyan jivhagre vartate nam tubhyam tepus tapos te juvam shashnor arya brahmanuchara nama grahananti yete.
O my Lord, persons who chant the holy names of your Lordship are far, far advanced in spiritual life, even if born in families of dog eaters. Such chanters have undoubtedly performed all kinds of austerities and sacrifices, bathed in all sacred places, and finished all scriptural studies. The famous example of this was presented by Lord Chaitanya, who accepted Thakur Haridasa as one of his most important disciples. Although he happened to take his birth in a Muslim family, he was elevated to the post of Namacharya by Lord Chaitanya due to his rigidly attended principle of chanting 300,000 holy names of the Lord daily.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
And because he chanted the holy name of the Lord constantly, it is understood that in his previous life he must have passed through all the ritualistic methods of the Vedas known as Sabda Brahma. Unless, therefore, one is purified, one cannot take to the principles of Krishna consciousness or become engaged in chanting the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Yes, so I was saying that this particular word which is coming here as a Shabda Brahma, so this whole creation is made up of Shabda. And that Shabda Brahma is the one which is the source behind this Shabda. So Shabda means sound, and the whole creation is made up of sound. And that sound is, there is nothing in this world which does not create sound. Everything makes sound. And that every sound has an impact on our consciousness. So Shabda is the one which has impact on our consciousness. And that's why the whole creation is because of Shabda. And that's why to have that pure transcendental Shabda, that is chanting the holy name of Lord, is a very, very important thing. So when Prabhupada is mentioning this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Prabhupada is telling that this Shabda Brahma, that this sound vibration, transcendental sound vibration, will have a lot of impact on us. And then who has shown this to all? That is Namacharya Haridas Thakur. Prabhupada is quoting an example of Haridas Thakur. That Haridas Thakur, when he got in contact with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he started chanting 192 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And daily he would chant 192 rounds. And then, his vrata was very strong. So this is what happens with a person or yogi who is, by the virtue of a divine consciousness of his previous life, is automatically becomes attracted to the yogi principles. So we see the example of Haridas Thakur, who was attracted to the practice of Krishna consciousness. And then we also see there are so many who are not born in a Brahman family. In fact, they were like born in a Shudra or Mleccha families. But recently Yogi was talking about this in Navadip. That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ने हमें सबको हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र दिया और वही हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र का प्रचार जो है वो इस्कॉन के सन्यासी पूरे जग भर में कर रहे हैं. So how that is possible? Because their divine consciousness was awakened. So there is no loss on this path of devotional service. Any question till now? Want to ask something? You have some question?
Well, so you mentioned that if you do if you have past life and you're practicing Krishna consciousness, then you will be born in a very pious family. So why is that not the case and you still are born very pious naturally then?
So Krishna is explaining about both the things here. Either he's born in a pious family, or either he's not born in a family of a pious, but he's reminded. Like here, the example of Haridas Thakur is given. Haridas Thakur was born in a Muslim family, and generally they don't perform any pious activities. Their activities are very impious. But then suddenly he will be reminded of a divine consciousness. And how is that reminded? With the association of devotees, Krishna Prasad, with the books coming in contact with you, with the Harinam Sankirtan getting contact with you. So that happens with that person who has been practicing yoga in a previous life. And then he's suddenly reminded of his divine consciousness. So both the things are possible. But then this is very encouraging to all devotee kids, especially who are born in a devotee family. Yes, because, and then we see that, parents are very enthusiastic that we are able to practice Krishna consciousness. And then the kids are also not always know for it. There are so many kids who take interest in it. Soon we are going to have a yajna course for children, all the small children who are, and those children are also very enthusiastic. Yes, we want to go and chant the mantra, perform yajna and everything. So seeing those enthusiasm of children coming to temple, doing kirtan and participating and continue to practice for a long time. There are so many children who are connected to me now since last 14 years. They are enthusiastic to practice Krishna consciousness. Right? Okay. Anything else? You want to ask something? Govinda, any question? Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, this Shabda Brahma we discussed about it, but which is that Shabda?
Hare
Was it
Krishna,
Om?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare is that transcendental sound vibration which is called as a Shabda Brahma. That is that param sound vibration of a absolute truth. Okay. And I was
So,
discussing about Shabda as a sound. The whole creation is made up of that sound, Shabda, because that has an impact on our consciousness. So that sound has an impact on our consciousness. So let there be impact on our consciousness with pure sound, transcendental sound vibration of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Okay. The Shabda
another
Brahma, which
question
is
about
the word Brahma, refers to Paramasatya, absolute truth. So when it is said the
okay.
absolute truth, that is in our Krishna consciousness language, you can understand as a that is the holy name, the Nama Rupa. Okay. Hmm.
What about this ritualistic principles of scriptures?
Shabda Brahma, what? Okay, so ritualistic principles of scriptures is what? Basically, it is talking about it is talking about scriptures. Scriptures are what? They are coming from Vedas. What are the Vedas? Vedas are the sound vibration coming out of the mouth of Krishna. What? So this the part of a Veda is ritualistic principles of scriptures is mentioned. So what people are focusing here is only the karma kand. What is mentioned here, that such an inquisitive translator stands always about the ritualistic principles of scripture. They are talking about only ritualistic principle. The ritualistic principle is what? Karma kand. Ritual karte ho log, right? They're just performing that particular activity. But they are not focused about practicing Krishna consciousness or even Ashtanga Yoga. They are not focused about yoga. Their focus is only performing that particular ritualistic activity. Huh. So, but where is that ritualistic principle coming from? That is coming from that sound vibration of Vedas. So when it is a Shabda Brahma is a sound vibration. Brahma, it is Brahma means absolute truth. Absolute truth is the sound which is coming out of the absolute truth. Is that Bhagavad Gita also? This Bhagavad Gita is also that sound vibration. That is Shabda Brahma. It is not only Hare Krishna Mahamantra, that is that sound vibration, which is in the form of scriptures. This scripture is also talking about Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. This also talks about Devata Puja. This also talks about Karma Kand. Like in the next chapter, we are going to see that, Krishna is talking about that person is performing Devata Puja and I make his faith strong in that Devata Puja, in the worship of demigod. That is what Krishna is talking about. So, why I'm trying to tell you is that the sound vibration, absolute truth, the Shabda Brahma is that sound vibration which is into a scriptural form. That sound vibration which is also in the form of holy name. Okay? So when it is mentioned here, what happened? He surpasses the material path of the Vedas. That's what na Shabda Brahma is that sound vibration. When it is Shabda Brahma is a spiritual sound vibration. Understand that way. Okay? That spiritual sound vibration is Vedas also. Vedas talk about Vidya and Avidya. You agree that? Avidya is that materialistic path of Vidya. So what Krishna is focusing here, that even those karma kandis are way far, way less than this transcendentalist. That is the highlight of that particular verse. The highlight is what? The Vedas are talking about it. That even from that Shabda Brahma, Avidya is also coming. Do you agree that? Okay. So that Avidya part, which is basically a performance of karma kand. In Avidya, like there is Vastu Shastra, there is a Khagola Shastra, there is all these things are explained. They are what? To maintain the body. For the maintenance of body, There are so many other yajnas for maintenance of opulence. There are so many yajnas. There are maintenance of gaining whatever benefit for our sense enjoyment. That is also part of avidya only, which is a part of Veda. So Shabda Brahma, here it is translated as the Vedic principles of scriptures. Or no, materialistic. What is exact translation? Is
Ritualistic principles of scriptures.
yeah, ritualistic principles of scripture. So ritualistic principles of scriptures coming, the exact meaning of Shabda Brahma is a sound vibration, absolute sound vibration. You can understand that. So that sound vibration in the form of Vedas, scriptures, are also what do you say, less compared to the transcendentalist who is practicing this yoga. Okay, is that does not satisfy you? We'll discuss about it. We'll get into again understanding. So Shabda Brahma in the literally meaning is that sound vibration about the absolute truth. Okay, sound vibration. Well, basically, you understand simply the spiritual sound vibration. That is a Shabda Brahma. Shabda is sound, Brahma is absolute truth. So spiritual sound vibration is that Shabda Brahma. That spiritual sound vibration can be in the form of chanting the holy name, any name of the Lord. Here Prabhupada is mentioning about Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That Shabda Brahma is also the sound which is recited by Lord. And that's why it is mentioned Vedas there. Vedas are coming from what? It is coming from the mouth of Lord Vishnu. Okay. That Veda is talking about Vijnana, Jnana and Vijnana, both. The Veda, the Jnana, or we can understand as a Vidya and Avidya both. So Vidya is the self-realization, knowledge of self-realization. And Avidya is the knowledge about keeping this body fit, keeping this body happy. That is easy to understand. So both the things are coming from Vedas. Now here the focus is about the transcendentalist. That transcendentalist, or the focus is about the unsuccessful yogi who was practicing a Krishna consciousness or a spiritual life. That spiritual life means what? Connection with basically yoga. He was practitioner of yoga. That practitioner of yoga is way too, he's divine. He's very special than the practitioner of Karmakand. That is what is mentioned here. Okay. So that Shabda Brahma, when I'm translating as a spiritual sound vibration, it is the sound vibration of Vedas also. And that's why I said it is the sound vibration of this Bhagavad Gita also. What is your question now? Not translation, part. Yes. Jnana and Vijnana. Yes, Karmakand. You can just understand as a Karmakand. Okay. Surpass nahi karate. He's way too ahead, all these things. It's not that he's going to cross it. He's already very ahead of this particular practitioner. So that's an encouraging thing, that just by practicing Krishna consciousness, a simple practice of Krishna consciousness will help us to surpass all these karma kandas. He doesn't have to continue doing that. Okay. Is that satisfies you, Rishikesh Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Let's go to verse number 45, the last verse. No, sorry. Let's say third. Here also Prabhupada is talking about those Vaishnava families. प्रयत्नाद यतमानस्तु योगी संसुध क्लिबिशम अनेक जन्म संसिद्ध ततो यति पराम गतिम. And when the yogi engages himself with the sincere endeavors in making future progress, being washed of all contamination, then ultimately achieving perfection after many, many births of practice, he attains the supreme goal. So, again, Krishna is also telling that it's not that easy. People may think that, I chanted Hare Krishna today, so I have become that unsuccessful yogi. Tomorrow, if I don't chant, and then I'm going to get a birth in a nice aristocrated family, very pious family, and then done. Next life, I'm not going to take birth, and I will land I'm there in Golok Vrindavan performing some lila with Krishna. No, many births is a condition applied. Star. So when a yogi engages himself with a sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed of all contamination, then ultimately achieving perfection after many births of practice, he attains supreme goal. So you need to be sincere. A sincere endeavor is very important. So to attain anything in this material world, we surely need a sincere endeavor. We have to be sincere in our studies, our job, our family life, everywhere. You have to be sincere husband, you have to be sincere father, you have to be sincere student. So and ultimately you have to become sincere. That's very important. So that's why Maharaj always focuses on serious, sincere, and without ulterior motives. So that yogi who is engages himself with the sincere endeavor, making further progress, being washed of all contamination. So while practicing all these sincere endeavors, he will be free from all the contamination of his heart. We all know the contamination. Do we have contamination? Revolve. Achievement. So that contamination is in the heart and he'll be free from that contamination, achieving perfection after many births. Purport: a person born in a particular righteous, aristocrated, and sacred family becomes conscious of his favorable condition for executing yoga practice. With determination, therefore, he begins his unfinished task and thus he completely cleanses himself of all material contamination. When he is finally free from all the contamination, he attains the supreme perfection, Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is a perfect stage of being free from all contamination. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7.28. Esham tu antagatam papam jananam punyakarmanam te tu dvandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam drudavrata. After many births of executing pious activity, when one completely freed from all contamination and from all illusory dualities, one becomes engaged in a transcendental loving service of the Lord. Congratulations. Chalo, let's go ahead.
The yogi को mention करता है. Bhakti yogi नहीं है.
This is perfection of Ashtanga Yoga. Yes. आपल्यामध्ये येणार आहे ना? The last two verses are talking about it. Last two verses are clearly indicating about the Bhakti Yogi. And there you understand this all applies to us also. So attaining further, the Bhakti Yogi, the topmost yogi, which is the next two verses. तपस्वी भी धिका योगी ज्ञानिभ्योऽपि मतोऽधिक कर्मिभ्यश्चाधिको योगी तस्माद् योगी भवार्जुन. A yogi is greater than the ascetic, greater than the impericit, and greater than the fruity worker. Therefore, O Arjuna, in all circumstances, be a yogi. So Arjuna is telling that I'll go and beg and become a sannyasi, or should I fight this war and become a karma yogi, or should I just go and gather some knowledge sitting in some corner? So Krishna is telling that particular person who is now a transcendentalist, who after many births have attained perfection. Hare Krishna. 10 मिनिटं लागतील मला अजून. ये ना तू फोन केला होतास का एकदा फोन कर मला दिसली नाही. मी आलोय मंदिरात असं सांग. ओके. So here the three people are explained. The yogi is a greater than the ascetic. There are many tapasvis who are sitting in jungles and Himalayas and performing tapasya for long time. This yogi, for Radha Gokulantu's understanding, it is that Ashtanga yogi is very greater. As such, there is no much difference between Ashtanga yoga and Bhakti yoga. We have discussed about it. So good thing is that this Ashtanga yogi who has attained the position of Samadhi. After many, many births, he has attained that position of samadhi. The yogi is greater than the, what is the meaning of empiric sit exactly? Yeah, I know that is jnani, but exact meaning of empiricity. What? And further, yogi is greater than the fruity worker, karmi yogi. Was
Believe that knowledge is primarily derived from sensory experience, observation.
okay, fine. Google does not understand. So basically, a knowledge, one who receives the knowledge, that is jnana yogi. So here it is mentioned about the tapasvi. They perform tapasya basically to attain a siddhi. Another is the jnana yogi, and third is the karma yogi. So this ashtanga yogi is way too ahead. So when we studied yoga ladder, in the yoga ladder we saw there was karma kandi, then there is karma yogi, then there is jnana yogi, then there is ashtanga yogi. So through this verse it also gets confirmed that how the ashtanga yogi who has attained the position of highest position of samadhi is very, very ahead of all these people, either karma yogi, jnana yogi. So that makes ashtanga yoga very strong. Tasmad yogi bhavad Arjuna. Therefore, Arjuna, in all circumstances, be a yogi, not Adityanath yogi, who is CM. Be a yogi. Yogi means one who is connecting himself with Krishna. Okay. So here, okay, read the word, read the purport. Govind.
When we speak of yoga, we refer to linking our consciousness with the supreme absolute truth.
So
Such a
always
process-
remember this, yoga does not mean any exercise. Yoga does not mean anything. But yoga means connecting with supreme absolute truth. Okay, Prathaveshru. So next one you connect to supreme absolute truth. Yes, please go ahead.
Such a process is named differently by various practitioners in terms of the particular method adopted. When the linking process is predominantly in fruitive activities, it is called karma yoga. When it is predominantly empirical, it is called janana yoga. And
Jnana yoga. Okay.
when it is predominantly in a devotional relationship with the Supreme Lord, it is called Bhakti Yoga or Krishna consciousness is the ultimate perfection of all yogas, as will be explained in the next verse. The Lord has confirmed here in the superiority of yoga, but he has not mentioned that it is better than Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is full spiritual knowledge and therefore nothing can excel it.
Asceticism without the self-knowledge.
Without the self knowledge is imperfect. Empiric knowledge without surrender to the Supreme Lord is also imperfect. And fruitive work without Krishna consciousness is a waste of time. Therefore, the most highly praised from a form of yoga performance mentioned here is Bhakti Yoga, and this is still more clearly explained in the next verse.
Hare Krishna. So this is how yoga is very superior, and the word yoga is surpassing other yogas also. This particular yoga is surpassing all other yogas, karma yoga, jnana yoga, and even the tapasya, ascetic, which they are performing. Verse number 47, the last verse of this particular section, this unit. Congratulations, we have completed 6 chapters. Our first unit, first unit of our Bhakti Shastri Bhagavad Gita is getting completed. So this, I think we are done with our 4 units now, by now. Not 4. This is the third unit which is completed. And the half of the Bhakti Shastri is over. Yoginam api sarvesham madgate antaratmana Shraddhavan bhajate yomam Same yukta tamo mataha. This verse is there for by recitation, the shloka test. देयर ना? श्योर? नहीं है तो डाल दो. Yeah, 6.47. Please send because I know it. And of all yogis, the one is the one with the great faith who always abides in me. Of all the yogis, the one with the great faith who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me. He is the most intimately united with me in the yoga and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. So from here, the discussion of Bhakti Yoga will start. The word bhajante is very important in this particular verse. Shraddhavan bhajate yomam. That particular person who is having a great faith. Shraddhavan. Shraddhavan, like we have Vidyavan who has Vidya, Dhanavan who has Dhana. Similarly, a Shraddha who is full of faith about absolute truth, Supreme Lord. Shraddhavan bhajate yomam. That person starts worshipping. Bhajate, bhaja is, bhakti is the word, the root of bhakti. Dhatu. That is in the Sanskrit word, there is dhatu of that particular word. जैसे धर्म का रूट वर्ड है ध्रुव. ध्रुव धारयति इति धर्म. Similarly, the meaning of dhru is dhu dharayati, which dharan karta hai. Similarly, bhakti, the root word is bhaja. Bhaja, the meaning of that word given in the dictionary, Shabdakosh, is bhaja sevayam. So, bhaja sevayam means bhajan karna, seva ke साथ. मतलब पूजना सेवा के साथ. और bhaja means also a devotion. Or devotion or seva. And that's why Prabhupada translated bhakti as devotional service. So that's why bhaja sevayam means devotional service. So this word bhajante also refers to bhakti. And that's why all these yogas are nice. Ashtanga yoga is the topmost, but then bhakti yoga is best. That will be explained in next 6 chapters very well. And that's why this is a transaction. This is how Krishna is transacting from first unit to the second unit. You know, how he is connecting it. So that's why the word bhaja is very important. So of all the yogis, one who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and worships and renders service unto me with a great faith, is most intimately united with me in yoga. And that's why when Arjuna is receiving this knowledge, Krishna told that I gave this knowledge before also. What is the verse? Where Krishna gave this knowledge before to sun god?
एवं विवस्वते ज्ञानम.
Evam vivasvate?
Jnanam, something like that. I don't
Jnanam
remember
nahi.
exactly.
Evam vivasvate yogam proktavahem avyavam vivasvan manave praha manur ikshva kave bravit. And then further Krishna says, Yogo nashta parantapa, that I gave this knowledge before, but that knowledge appeared to be lost. But now I am giving this knowledge to you again, O Arjuna. Why? Bhakto somi sakachethi, because you are my bhakta and you are my friend. That's why I am giving this knowledge. And that's why when Krishna is saying here that he is most intimately united with me in yoga, same yukto tamo mataha, that he is yukta, he is very intimately connected to me. So that bhakti yogi is very intimately connected to Krishna. So amongst all the yoga, bhakti yoga is the topmost. The conclusion. Okay, so we'll stop here.
You are asking this verse for oral.
It is there. It is there. Okay, I'm not asking. It is there. Okay, so let's read purport quickly. Who can read fast?
Should I?
Yeah.
The word bhajate is significant here. Bhajate has its root in the verb bhaja, which is used when there is need of service. The English word worship cannot be used in the same sense as bhaja. Worship means to adore or to show respect and honor to the worthy one. But service with love and faith is especially meant for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can avoid worshipping a respectable man or a demigod and may be called discourteous, but one cannot avoid serving the Supreme Lord without being thoroughly condemned. Every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus every living entity is intended to serve the Supreme Lord by his own constitution. Failing to do this, he falls The Bhagavatam 11.5.3 confirms this as follows. Ye esham purusham sakshad atma prabhavam ishwaram na bhajante avajanati sthanad bhrashta patanti adha. Anyone who does not render service and neglects his duty unto the primeval Lord, who is the source of all living entities, will certainly fall down from his constitutional position. In this verse also, the word bhajanti is used. Therefore, bhajanti is applicable to the Supreme Lord only, whereas the word worship can be applied to demigods or to any other common living entity. The word avjananti used in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is also found in the Bhagavad Gita. Avajananti mamudha.
Avajanati mamudha.
Avajananti mamuda. Mamuda. Only the fools and rascals deride the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. Such fools take it upon themselves to write commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita without an attitude of service to the Lord. Consequently, they cannot properly distinguish between the word bhajanti and word worship. The culmination of all kinds of yoga practices lies in bhakti yoga. All other yogas are but means to come to the point of bhakti in bhakti yoga. Yoga actually means bhakti yoga. All other yogas are progressions towards the destination of bhakti yoga. From the beginning of Karma Yoga to the end of Bhakti Yoga is a long way of self realization. Karma Yoga without fruitive results is the beginning of this path. When Karma Yoga increases in knowledge and renunciation, the stage is called Jnana Yoga. When Jnana Yoga increases in meditation on the super soul by different physical processes and the mind is on him, it is called Ashtanga Yoga. And when one surpasses the Ashtanga Yoga and comes to the point of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, it is called as Bhakti Yoga, the culmination. Factually, Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal, but to analyze Bhakti Yoga minutely, one has to understand these other yogas. The yogi who is progressive is therefore on the true path of eternal good fortune. One who sticks to a particular point and does not make further progress is called by that particular name, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yogi, or Dhyana Yogi, Raja Yogi, Hatha Yogi, etc. If one is fortunate enough to come to the point of Bhakti Yoga, it is to be understood that he has surpassed all other yogas. Therefore, to become Krishna conscious is the highest stage of yoga, just as when we speak of Himalayan, we refer to the world's highest mountains, of which the highest peak, Mount Everest, is considered to be the culmination. It is by the great fortune that one comes to Krishna consciousness on the path of Bhakti Yoga to become well situated according to the Vedic direction. The ideal yogi concentrates his attention on Krishna, who is called Shamasundara, who is as beautifully colored as a cloud, whose lotus like face is effulgent as the sun, whose dress is brilliant with jewels, and whose body is flower garlanded. Illuminating all sides is his gorgeous luster, which is called the Brahma Jyotir. He incarnates in different forms such as Rama, Narsimha, Varaha, and Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he descends like a human being as the son of Mother Yashoda. He is known as Krishna, Govinda, and Vasudeva. He is the perfect child, husband, friend, and master, and he is full with the opulences and transcendental qualities. If one remains fully conscious of these features of the Lord, he is called as the highest yogi. This stage of highest perfection in yoga can be attained only by bhakti yoga, as it is confirmed in all Vedic literature. Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tatha guru tasyaite kathita hai artha prakashante mahatmana. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith on both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. Shvetavatsara Upanishad 6.23. Bhaktir asya bhajanam tad iha mutropadi nairasya manusim manah kalpanam etad eva naishkarmanyam. Bhakti means devotional service to the Lord, which is free from the desire for material profit, either in this life or in the next. Devoid of such inclinations, one should fully absorb the mind in the Supreme. That is the purpose of Naishkarmya. Gopala Upanishad 1.15. These are some of the means for performance of bhakti or Krishna consciousness, the highest perfectional stage of the yoga system. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport to the sixth chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of Dhyana Yoga.
योगाचा पार्ट आहे का असं म्हणता येईल का सेम प्रोसेस आहे
You don't have to go through pranayam, pratyahar, even dhyana dharana also. Samadhi is okay, Samadhi is understood. Lagali, Samadhi, Vitthalachi, we say. So that is also. But then practice is different. So because that is practice is different, it is not same. Yeah, it is always better. Ashtanga yogi attains the perfection. Ashtanga yogi, Jnani and Karmi, they cannot attain perfection. They have to come to the level of Ashtanga yoga. Ashtanga yogi can attain absolute truth in the form of, if he is meditating on Brahma, Bhagwan feature, it is obviously because he is trying to, he has to develop a relationship with a personality. Personality, wherever Bhagavan is there, there is a personality. There is a relationship. That becomes bhakti. That Ashtanga yogi meditating on Paramatma or absolute, he remains as Ashtanga yogi. Meditating on Paramatma, his perfection is attaining Vaikuntha in Shantaras. Or maybe not Rasa, but then he is there in Vaikuntha. Or he attains in the meditating on Brahman, he attains Brahman. That is so he is sure to get a destination. Ashtanga yogi's perfection is sure to get a destination. But Bhakti Rasa, Bhakti, there is a Rasa. The difference between Ashtanga yoga and Bhakti yoga is easy to understand. There is a Rasa in Bhakti. And Rasa is exchange with Bhagavan, personality form, which is not a part of Ashtanga yoga. कुठे Ashtanga yoga is practicing Ashtanga yoga. His focus is dhyana, dharana, samadhi. He is trying to make it capture that particular form or capture Paramatma or Brahman into the heart. Or his meditation. He's meditation. He's a meditating. His practice is meditation. His practice is not Harinam chanting. That's why I said practice is very different. But the destination which he is attaining is ultimately attaining perfection. Mukti, moksha, what is said. Nirvana, what is said. He is attaining the perfection. That is not the case with Karma Yogi and Jnana Yogi. Karma Yogi, Jnana Yogi has to come to the level of Ashtanga Yoga. Practice is different, obviously. I'm talking about that perfection which person is attaining. Bhakti Yogi also attains that perfection. But that perfection with the personality, that is Bhagavan, is way too different. अल्टीमेटली ब्रह्मन से परमात्मा और परमात्मा से भगवान जाना ही पड़ेगा. You want me to read 47? इसको मोबाइल व्यू कर. Okay, so we'll stop here. और online devotees, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada की जय. Shrimad Bhagavad Gita की जय. Hare Krishna. Today is Ekadashi. Thank you for assembling on the day of Ekadashi. It was all nice. Hare Krishna.